Thank you so much, everyone who came out. It is awesome to see a crowded room on a Wednesday night. Thank you to Skylight so much. You guys have been awesome to me since my first book when I was a nobody and you were taking a chance. Also, thank you to all my friends and family and other readers who let me keep doing events here because you show up and I don't get embarrassed. Thanks to my mom who flew in from St. Louis. She hates attention. I'm a little different. Thank you to my friend Christy Bauer, who I'll tell you more about, but flew in from New York even further. So I have a little entertainment for you guys to keep things exciting. But first, I'm going to read a little, then we'll have some entertainment, then I'll answer some questions, and then you get your book signed. And there are donuts. We've already discussed this with those of you who have been sitting or standing here for a while. I want to make sure everyone at least gets a donut, but after that, you can have a second one. They are from Donut Friend. Donut Friend is featured in this book, so I really want to give them a shout out because once I let them know that they were in there, they were super excited, gave me a really awesome deal on designer donuts. Thank God. But it's that time of year. It is a tax write-off. So I was like, whatever, guys. So I'm going to read a little now. I have not read from this book in front of any humans yet or any pets. So I've not read aloud from this book yet. So if it goes weird, that's why. If it goes great, you'll be like, whoa, first time. Nailed it. Even though it's only the second day of my senior year, the routine's familiar. When a new student starts at Eagle Vista Academy, one of us gives them a quick tour and at least the illusion of a friendly face in the crowd. The school is expensive, so I think the reception committee is an attempt to make new kids tell their parents they were warmly welcomed. Parents therefore immediately feel like they got their money's worth. I joined the reception committee when I was a freshman, so I've done this more times than I can count. I'm notified a day in advance to be at the guidance office before first period begins, and when I show up, I get the new student's schedule. But this morning is not like any of the other mornings. To be fair, it wasn't to begin with. We have our first meeting of the Crest after school, and Mr. Wheeler will announce who's been selected as newspaper editor-in-chief. If it's not me, well, I can't think about that outcome right now. Needless to say, I'm in no shape to be the best possible liaison a new student deserves, much less this new student. Though maybe it isn't him. There must be other Alex Powells besides the Alex Powell. Miss Guillory, the guidance administrator, clears her throat. I look over to her and realize I may have been zoning out for more than a split second. Of course, we pride ourselves on all students enjoying an excellent but typical high school experience here, she says. But with some students, it's important we pay special attention to that. I know then that it is the Alex Powell. I'll be back on time, I promise her as I dash out of the office. Luckily, my best friend Sadie is at her locker when I run up. You looked panicked, she says. Look at this. I hold up my liaison packet right in her face. Look at it, Sadie. Don't read it out loud, but look at it. Oh my God, she says. The packet's still in her face, so she's a little muffled. Alex Powell! I said not to read it out loud. Jules, you should know I can't follow a command like that. Wait, so do we know if it's the Alex Powell? Stop saying his name, I whisper. And yes, I think so at least. I don't have 100% confirmation yet. Can you imagine? Sadie checks her reflection in her locker mirror and fluffs her violet hair. One day you're 1/5 of the biggest boy band in the country. And then, how many years later? 2? 2, I say. 2 years ago, it felt as if you couldn't go anywhere without hearing "want to be your boy." 2 years ago, everyone knew Chaos for All. 2 years ago, Alex Powell was famous. Jules, this is a big responsibility, Sadie says. You are welcoming a teen idol to our school. He's not a teen idol anymore, I say. There had been at least a couple songs after Want to Be Your Boy, but they hadn't been so universally beloved. And then it was like Chaos for All had never even existed. Mom says once you're famous, you're changed, Sadie says, for good. Sadie's parents are actors, so her mom would know. I have to go, I say. I can't be late to welcome him. I should never be late to welcome someone on their first day, but especially not Alex Powell, she says. Go. I rush back to the guidance office where I appear to have beaten Alex Powell. I've been trying to picture him, but in my head, he's still 15 with perfectly floppy hair straight out of a photo shoot. Welcome back, Miss McCallister Morgan, Miss Guillory says with a sigh. And I think I'm supposed to realize I shouldn't have dashed off even briefly. It probably wasn't the most professional move, but today shouldn't call for standard operating procedures. All right, of course today should. That's why standard operating procedures exist. And good morning, Mr. Powell, Miss Guillory says, looking past me. I turn my head very slowly in a calculated swivel. Alex Powell, the Alex Powell, is standing right inside the swinging doors. So when I started writing this book, I realized that I had to have like a real boy band song in it, and I don't have any musical, like, I can sing okay, especially for karaoke, but like I can't write a song. I can't write lyrics. I'm really lucky that I know a lot of way more talented people though. And my dear friend Christy, who has her freaking master's degree in musical theater composition, I was like, here's a project for you. Could you write a viral boy band sensation that would have been out in like 2014? And because she's great, she said yes. And then she had the track produced, so we're gonna play it tonight. Christy, do you want to come up and say anything about Want to Be Your Boy?
Sure. The thing that you didn't mention is that the entire lyrics of the song are written in text speak. So if she's saying want to be, it's because it's number 2, letter B, you are boy. So the thing that we realized after the fact is that it's a visual joke. So we imagined in a song. So yeah, so it just sounds like normal words. But if we
also Chaos 4 All has 5 members. Nobody caught that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna play the track for you guys. Yeah. Oh, and if you bought your book, the lyrics to the first part are in like one of the first pages. So if you want to look at the lyrics while you listen, because again, these are visual jokes in a song, which we're awesome. Okay, this should work, right?
Every day I see you in the hall, see you drinking coffee at the mall. Every day I fall and fall, more in love with you, But each time I see you passing by, I get tongue-tied 'cause I'm way too shy. You're so special and I don't know why. I just can't say to you, want to be your boy, want to see you smile, want to hold your hand and hang out for a while. Want to be the one, you're too good to be true. I hope you want me to be your boy. Girl, you're everything I dream about. You are beautiful inside and out. Girl, you gotta know without a doubt, I'm in love with you. Maybe you know just the way I feel. Maybe you see the looks I steal. Maybe all my crazy dreams are real. I don't know what to do. Want to be your boy, want to see you smile, want to hold your head and hang out for a while. Want to be the one, you're too good to be true. Hope you want me to be your boy. Girl, you just don't know how great you are. You're a shooting star. I hope someday see how we could be the perfect pair. Hashtag I swear. Look in your heart and find some room for me. Wanna be your boy, wanna see you smile, wanna hold your hand and hang out for a while. Wanna be the one, you're too good to be true. Hope you want me to be your boy.
Now, the sound feels like it's going to explode. Here, can you hold my phone now, Mom? One author tip, you should always bring your mom to events because she'll hold your phone in your bag. This is not just the release party for my brand new book, The New Guy and Other Senior Year Distractions. It's also the paperback release with a brand new cover of Kissing Ted Callahan and Other Guys. And those of you who read the book and or came to my last event know there's a great song in it as well. That song was written by my friend Nadia Osman. And she's going to sing it with Christy's help tonight for you guys. And I think she's going to come and say a thing about the song. So coming up, Nadia, give her a warm welcome.
Let's all give Amy another giant round of applause for these amazing books. When I was listening to Chaos for All, I just kept thinking about how YouTubers would cover it. And just the amount of cover songs for it of like people who are legitimately good singers that sing in their bedroom and record into their laptops, and you think, such talent. Why are you doing this to yourself by putting it on YouTube? Anyway, so so it's true. So with Kissing Ted Callahan, our main character.
The sound, it feels like it's like vibrating.
Yeah. Oh, just that hum?
Yeah.
That's just
Okay.
the hum.
That's not ominous.
That's not. So with Kissing Ted Callahan, she's in a band, and Amy asked me, "Can you write an apology song that a teen girl might write?" And I was a teen girl once, and before I got old, and so this is sort of in that vein. And Christy here, who is a lovely singer, is going to help me out by harmonizing. So we also put the harmonizing part together like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So go easy. Okay.
Easy.
Yeah.
Throw tomatoes.
No, that's the opposite of going easy.
Waste of donuts.
Yeah, that's all right. 1, 2, 3. About the time I called you names, or that other time when we were playing games. I know I'm young and kind of insecure, but that was dumb. I was in the wrong for sure. No, I don't think that you should cut your hair. I like the way you always seem to care about the world. Oh, hell, what do I know? I'm just a girl who wants to show you everything that I could ever offer, everything that you could ever want, everything that you could ever dream of. I want to show you everything about the time I almost caused a scene, or that other time you fed me jelly beans. I never thought that this would ever grow. I never believed that I would get to show you everything that I could ever offer, everything that you could ever want, everything that you could ever dream of. I want to show you everything. The reason that I couldn't let you see all the good and the bad and the ugly of me. The reason that I didn't even think this is real, is you're the only one who's ever made me feel. About that time when we were in my car, or that other time we kissed under the stars, or that other time we didn't make a sound. I want to show you everything that I could ever offer, everything that you could ever want, everything that you could ever dream of. I want to show you, I want to know you, I want to be your everything. Thank you.
Oh my God, how great are those ladies? They're so good. This is why you make friends, so they can do things you can't do. Also, friendship. All right, so now's my favorite part of the evening, the Q&A. Now I feel like everyone's like, oh, really? You were like, oh, I thought she was going to let us eat more donuts. Do you guys have any great questions, or even not great questions? I take them all. Yes, Robin?
Can you talk about the extensive boy band research you did?
Oh, yeah. So I actually was like I was snotty when I was young. I know it's shocking to hear that. So like, I didn't listen to boy bands but like I listened, like when everyone was into New Kids on the Block, I was like, oh, I'm too good for that. But I listened to Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. So like, you know what I mean? Like, my moral ground was shaky. So when I started writing this book, I contacted, including Robin, who asked the question, friends of mine who I'm like, I feel like you know what's going on with boy bands. Could you make me some playlists? And I really didn't know a lot, but it was really exciting to suddenly listen to them. And what I learned was, like, One Direction sounded way different than I thought they would sound. Boy bands sound different now. I thought they would all sound exactly like New Kids on the Block, but they don't. So that was something I learned. And I kind of thought it would be this musical awakening for me, and I would be like, oh my God, I'm going to be so into boy bands now, and like that's going to be my new thing as I get ready to turn 40. But like, it didn't happen. I was like, okay, that's nice. I did my research. And then I just went back to like my safe world of like lady punk rock bands and Taylor Swift. All right, next question. Yes.
Okay, you always make up awesome band names and TV show names. Do you have like a book that you just keep them in?
No, in fact, a lot of times it's like a panic text to a friend, like, oh, I need a fake band name, and like someone will name them for me. And then other times it's just like there's a band listed in Kissing Ted Callahan called I'm Listening, which is clearly a Frasier joke. And it's like what do cool teens like? Frasier. But I was literally like, I have a lot of writers here, and I often have like TV background noise when I'm writing that I'm like, I've seen this 10 times. It doesn't matter what it is. And for a lot of when I did the edits to Kissing Ted Callahan, it was Frasier. I don't know. I just wrote a really sweet teen romance, and I had Breaking Bad on in the background. So I'm like, I worry that things get in there that you don't know about. But so a lot of times it's just like, oh, I'm going to give this to like Nadia for notes. I want to make Nadia laugh when she's reading it. So there were like tons of jokes like in Kissing Ted Callahan just to like amuse her. And then you kind of forget about it, and then it gets into copy edits and they're still there. And you're like, oh, I made a dumb joke for my friends, and it is still in the book, and that book is getting printed and just sent to strangers. So that's weird. But no, I don't have a list. If there is a list, someone send it to me. That sounds great. Yes, Sarah?
Of your characters thus far, your leading ladies in your books, who would you say you're the most like?
Well, I just made a personality quiz online. If you guys want to take it, go to my Twitter and look for it. The Ames is my username. It's terrible. So I took that quiz, and I got Kelly from Inc. once, and then when I retook it to post it online after it was like official, I got Riley from Kissing Ted Callahan, which is what I thought I would get, because Riley is really loud and weird and accidentally yells and talks in all caps all the time and like goes to see a million concerts, and that just felt right. But I think like maybe Kelly is maybe more me when I was actually in high school, so it feels like I think Jules in a lot of ways is the least like me, because she's like very type A and high achieving and doesn't really have a lot of downtime. And that's like, I don't think she like cares about Netflix, you know, like, and I care a lot about Netflix. So I think it was really fun to write a character who was like so type A and neurotic, because it's not me, but I guess I don't think I'm spoiling anyone to say, I think a lot of people in publishing might be a little type A and neurotic, because like everyone at the publishing house was like, oh my God, I really relate to this girl. Thank you so much. And I was like, oh, thank God. Cause I was sort of guessing what it would be like to feel that way. Yes.
Probably not supposed to ask a question, but so I'm going to ask you a really hard-hitting question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The heroine in this book, it says like it's supposed to really be encapsulating what a teenage girl's life is like. Mm-hmm. But I know when I was in high school, I was not getting asked out by a boy band member, and I did not get into Brown, and I did apply. So I'm just wondering.
Guys, that's not a spoiler alert. You never in the book find out if she gets in or not, so it's okay.
I didn't, though. That's what I was saying. So I was wondering how, like, that she seems like she has kind of a charmed life, and do you like how does that relate to like the every girl, every woman's high school experience?
Well, because I write romantic comedy, I always think of rom-coms are sort of like a heightened version of reality, because like where there are meet cutes and like if I spill my groceries in real life, I just like lose things. But if you spill your groceries in a romantic comedy, it's probably gonna like an orange will roll into a hot man's hand, and he'll be like, oh. And then like flash forward a year, marriage. So I think like you're already like kind of existing in this world where it's not quite real. So I like playing within that world and finding like, okay, so like what if you were a girl who had goes to an exclusive prep school, meets a former boy band member, like where is the reality in that? Like what would it actually feel like if it happened? Because that's sort of the thing I like playing with in my books. Like my first book has like a long lost mother who's like a famous author. And like it's less about the fact that like that's a relatable thing to happen, and more like when you're a teenager, you kind of wonder like more about your family and who your parents are as people, and you have that sort of feeling of disconnect. So it's kind of taking the biggest version of that and then like finding the truth within it, like what it would actually feel like. Does that make sense? Great. She approved, and she works at a bookstore. Okay, more questions? Yes, Kate.
Do you ever find it difficult to relate to the teenagers because you say you're so different than a lot of the characters in your books?
I don't know. I'm old, but I'm always like, oh, I'm pretty much like a teenager. And then I meet, like, you guys are all here, and I'm like, oh, you're a lot younger than me. I'm not. But when I sit down and write, it just sort of, that's what comes out. It's really natural for me to write as like a 16 or 17-year-old girl, whatever that says about my subconscious. I don't know. But, oh my God, I just snorted like a pig. And can I ask, and please be honest with me, earlier when I was reading, was there like a cat meowing? I was like, is this how I go? And I didn't stop to ask because honestly, I was afraid you guys would all be like, no, there's no cat. I don't know. And I also think it's just when you write characters, it's about like writing the reality of the character. And so if it's a teenager, you want to like really be respectful of what their actual life is like and not belittle them or pander them or talk down to them, and try to like think back to when I was a teenager, but also just, I write people's fathers and I write people's mothers, and I don't have kids and I'm not a dude. And so I think like as long as you're being respectful to characters, like you're going to portray them fairly and accurately, I hope. Yes.
Have you written, or do you have any intention of writing books about teenagers that are from the inner city, kids that are not privileged?
I do. Yeah, I know. I write about really privileged kids, and that weirds me out too. And I wasn't privileged. I mean, I was, like, relatively speaking, but my characters tend to be a little better off than me. And I think, to be honest, if I did, I would take really great care, and I would want it to be really accurate. And so I haven't yet, but definitely.
Characters that are not Caucasian.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am trying to include more characters of color. Like the love interest in my first book was a guy of color. There's definitely characters who aren't white or straight in this book. So I try to keep an eye on it. It's the tough call of trying to let your books reflect the real world you actually live in, which is obviously really diverse. And then I'll just be honest, as like a white person, you're often really like, I don't want to say something offensive. I'm going to try to keep this really respectful. So sometimes it's a hard place to find the ground for, but I'm always challenging myself to do more. I recently wrote something that has another love interest of color, so definitely, I think, you'll be seeing more of that from me. This book is pretty white. Yes.
When did you decide to become a writer?
I always wanted to be a writer, even when I was little. It was sort of like I really like daydreaming and thinking of stories. So then I was like, oh, there's a real thing I could do, and it's just this. So it was sort of like not like a cheat, but it felt like it. I was like, I'm going to get paid to do the thing that I do when I slack off. And I always really wanted to be a writer, but I also, I come from a really Midwestern family, and they were like, all right, well, as long as you can pay your bills, you do whatever you want. So I went to college for marketing and got a marketing degree, and I work in marketing still, but I kept trying to write anyway, because the thing about writing was I felt like no one lets you work a marketing job unless you have a marketing degree or a degree. But in writing, if you write a book that's amazing, people aren't like, where's the degree for this? So it felt like that was the right thing to do for me to be able to support myself, but also be a writer. But yeah, I've been working at it since I was really little. But what I wrote then was really bad. Because people hear that and they're like, oh, you must have been a prodigy. I'm like, no, I basically would read a Babysitter's Club book and then change. Instead of babysitting, they do something else. But it's 4 girls who meet once a week in someone's room. So it was just plagiarizing until I got better. But yeah, I would say almost 30 years. Rochelle, did you just raise your hand? I like your new haircut.
I was just wondering, when you start writing a new project, how does it start? Does it start with an idea, character, or theme?
All the books have started kind of differently for me. For the new guy, I had just written Kissing Ted Callahan, and it was such a fun experience writing just a full-blown romantic comedy that I wanted to do it again, but I always want to challenge myself not to do exactly the same thing. So I liked the idea of kind of a contentious romantic comedy, a really, this isn't a cool, I've not made any cool references yet. I was just talking about Frasier. I don't know why I'm suddenly concerned. But I was thinking of something honestly, this, to me, it was You've Got Mail, this idea of because there's an old media versus new media plotline in the book. And I love the thought of when you fall for someone who you kind of shouldn't, but also the obstacles are also, a lot of them are in your head too. And I don't know. I wanted the idea of what if you're fighting with the person you actually want to be making out with? That's a struggle. Yes.
I love all your titles. And are titles easy for you?
No, they're really hard.
They're so fun.
Thank you. I didn't come up with half of them. I came up with a Reese Malcolm list, which I'm still happy with. I came up with Ink is Thicker Than Water, which I'm like, what? Because it's about adoption and tattoos. It's such a good title. And I never thought I could come up with a title that good again. And so far it's true because 2 friends of mine, 2 authors, Courtney Summers and Trish Doller both contributed to this title, and the sales and marketing team at Little Brown came up with this title. So I don't know if I'll ever title a good book again, but as long as other people are willing to, it's cool. And I think now there's definitely, it sounds really pretentious, but there's an Amy Spalding title. It's really long and probably someone's name is in it and it's got parentheses. So think about the titles, guys. Any more questions? Yes. The hardest thing about writing is a lot of it's hard. Sometimes actually writing is really hard. A lot of times you're not quite sure where your idea is going, or you feel if you're in a bad mood at all, sometimes it is very hard to write. If you're distracted, it's really hard to write. If you're stressed out about something else, it's hard to write. Which takes me to the other thing that's really hard about writing is the publishing industry, because anytime art and commerce meet, it's really hard. And so you might love your idea, but then you start thinking oh, is anyone actually going to want to buy this? Or will this sell well? Or is this what my publisher expects from me? And it's so hard not getting bogged down in that instead of just tuning it all out and sitting down with, my computer and just writing. And then, of course, when you sit down with your computer, even when you block everything else, there's Twitter, and it's really distracting. So staying focused, I think, is the short version of that answer. Yes, Allegra.
Do you do any outlining before you sit down to write, or do you just sit down and start writing?
Sometimes I outline, sometimes I don't. I feel like I switch a process for every book is slightly different. For the new guy, I definitely outlined more than I had before because I'm like, oh, it's a romantic comedy. There are definite like beats a romantic comedy has. There's like the meet cute, and there's like starting to get together, and then there's some sort of conflict, and then so that kind of made it easy for me to wrap my head around how it worked. And I sold the book just on the first few chapters, which you think is good because you're like, oh, I barely wrote anything and they paid me for it. And then they're like, great, send us the rest in like a month and a half. You're like, well, it took me like 3 months to write that little bit I sent you. Real? Okay, they're serious about this. And so then you follow your own outline and you realize you did not know what you were talking about when you made it. So you're just like, oh, and then this happened. And you're just like, it's tough. So I kind of need to write a little to know my characters before I know what they're doing. And then I realize I don't know what I'm doing. So then I outline. It's a lot of like back and forth. Yes, Morgan.
Can you tell us about your next book or is it like a secret?
What I can tell you guys is there's a mini sequel to Kissing Ted Callahan coming out in June that's for ebooks only, and it's called Love and Music and Missing Ted Callahan, and it's set at a music festival that's like Pitchfork, but I called it Trident because that's a synonym, and they can't sue me. So I'm really excited about that, and that'll be out, I think, in early June, and it's going to be like $2 or $3, I think. So, I mean, get it, because what's to lose? And then beyond that, I don't know what I'm writing yet. I started something really recently that I'm really excited about, but I sometimes feel like the more excited I get early on, like the less I should talk about it, because I'll tell like 50 people, and then they'll be like, hey, how's that project going? I'm like, oh, it went real badly, and I don't want to speak of it again. So that stuff's secret for now. But look for Love and Music and Missing Ted Callahan. June. Yes?
That you have a lot of friends that help you with titles and with like lines in the book. Do you ever mention them in your book?
I do. I definitely throw their names in as like if I need like the last name of a teacher or another student. Or there's a lot of dogs in the new guy. So some of you who own dogs might see your dog's name in this book. If I didn't, like, don't get upset. Josh looks so excited right now. I don't remember, honestly, if Banjo's name is in this or not. I lost track. There's so many dogs in this book. She volunteers at a stray rescue organization, so she walks a lot of stray dogs. Well, no longer stray. They've been rescued. Yay! They're fictional, but we're still happy for them. Any more questions? Yes.
Do you have any plans to like write from the perspective of a 40-year-old woman?
You know, even though I am almost a 40-year-old woman, I'm like, I don't know what those women think about. Like I feel like I'm still like okay, I'm really going off on a tangent, but a friend and I were talking about how we think Jimmy Fallon is a child who got bigged because he can't get through an interview without giggling. He's always like, be my friend, be my friend. And then like, did you see that episode Nicole Kidman was on? And she was like, we were on a date, and she's like, you just sat down and started playing video games. And I was like, see, he's a child who got bigged. Anyway, I feel like that sometimes. So when I think about like writing as a 40-year-old, I could write like as the 40-year-old I am, which is like single, living a very similar life that I've led for a while, which is like, you know, single, not a lot of responsibilities, like going out a lot, having a lot of friends, doing like those sorts of things. But when I think of like, when I hear like a 40-year-old, I'm like, oh, she's got a mortgage and like children and responsibilities that aren't just like, well, the cats got fed, they're still alive. So I don't know. But it's weird when I hear that because I'm like, that is you. Why does it scare you? So I don't know. That's more for my therapist than you guys probably. Are there any more questions? Yes.
How many books have you read? And which one is the one you're the most proud of?
This is my fourth out. I definitely wrote some other ones. I also wrote a lot of versions. My first book, The Reese Malcolm List, I think is maybe the most special to me because it was a book I really learned to write a book with. Like the first time I wrote that book, it was so long and I didn't really know what I was doing. And when I finally figured it out, it just felt like so special. And then I think a lot of authors, your first book that comes out just has this like very special place in your heart because it was like, oh, that's the first thing the world saw that I wrote. And it feels really amazing. But I also I wasn't able to sell my first 2 books, Reese and Ink, for a long time, and I was just feeling really down and not sure if I should keep writing, and I felt stupid. I was like, I'm good in marketing. I'll just go do marketing. No one sends me rejection letters in marketing. By the way, not even true. You get rejection letters in marketing all the time. It just doesn't feel personal because it's like, oh, you didn't want to buy theonion.com and I thought it was a good idea. But when someone doesn't want to buy your book, it feels so personal. So I was so depressed and just, really doubting myself as a writer. And I started writing Kissing Ted Callahan just like to make myself laugh, because I was like, what if I just wrote a book about a girl in a band who makes out with a bunch of guys? And I was like, great. So I wrote that just to like keep myself amused. And like I said, Nadia's still lurking back there, literally she would give me notes and I would like try to make her laugh with them. And then like it ended up selling, and it was like, oh my God, a book I wrote just to like make myself happy with no other, I wasn't trying to sell it. I wasn't trying to do anything. It was just literally like to get myself out of feeling so depressed. It like sold and people bought it. So that was really exciting too. But I love all of them. So don't be like, Ink and the new guy, she doesn't even like them. I like them. More questions? One more question? Yes, Elise.
What books are you reading right now?
Oh my God, I'm hardly reading it all because I'm so slammed right now. I will tell you that I'm reading Morgan Matson's new book, and it's not even out yet, The Unexpected Everything. It's really great. I've read a bunch of it already. But Morgan writes really long books, I'm going to say. Like, a really long book. So it's exciting, but that's what I'm reading right now. So it has also a bunch of dogs in it. So that's the tying theme of that. All right. Rochelle, do you have another question? Okay.
I would play characters in the new guy and then babysitting.
It's called Freeform now. Rochelle used to work in TV development, so I have to give her a hard time. Now she's becoming a veterinarian, so same thing. Well, all I know is that when I wrote, I often don't really see, I literally see the characters as very fictional people in my mind, and they aren't real people. But my mom has told me multiple times that Alex Powell is the blonde guy from One Direction, who, I don't even know how his name is said. Yeah, that guy. So according to Pat Spalding, that's who should play Alex Powell. And then all the people at Little Brown said Jules was either teenage Leslie Knope or nice Paris Geller. So I like both of those comparisons so much that I'm like, yeah, just use those. And I will say her teacher, Mr. Wheeler, is I think he's every awkward man in his 30s who's done improv in the city. So please, for my sake, picture that. I thought I saw another hand up. Yes?
Liz, you got a question? I was wondering if, what triggered you to start writing this book? What was your inspiration?
I definitely wanted to write something different. I wanted it to feel like my other characters were a little less neurotic in that way. And I also like the idea of getting them together really early and then being like, how can I screw it up for them? And I used to in traditional romantic comedies, it's kind of you get the build up, but I was like, what if they start kissing right away and then hijinks ensue? Any more questions? We'll just go. Okay, so we're going to go into the signing time. I made it sound like a children's theater. But we have a lot of donuts left. So I still want to say, don't stick your face in there and be crazy. Still try to make sure everyone's getting. I just hit my tooth on the mic. That was so weird. Everyone take a donut, and then if you feel like everyone's done that and there's still some left, take another. But let's just be nice about it. And thanks again to Skylight Books, my favorite bookstore in the whole city. And thank you so much to Nadia and Christy for their musical genius. Thanks to Donut Friend for being a friend with donuts. And thanks to you guys for coming out on the school night. Literally, some of you.
You've been listening to the Skylight Books Author Reading Series. Don't forget that you can listen to this and all of our other great podcasts at skylightbooks.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we hope to see you soon.